Hello everyone and welcome back again. In this lesson we're gonna see how to create a very simple analog clock. Okay, and trust me, it's really easy once we understand the problem. So for now, let me grab MS Paint over here, and let us first discuss how we're gonna actually make this work. Now I'm gonna grab a circle, hold on the Shift key, and have a perfect circle. And I'm gonna draw a small line from the center. Let's say this is gonna be our seconds. Okay, and this is gonna be and let me grab, let's say, make it a little bit thicker, and I'm gonna put, can I change it? Yeah, there you go. And I'm gonna make, let's say, okay, let me try to undo this. This is for the second, this is for the minutes. Yeah, I cannot make it even thicker. And this is for the hours. Let's see here. Okay, now our if you look at our watch, if you have a watch in your hand, or if you look at any simple analog clock, even on your computer, if you are really using Windows Vista 7 and higher, you have already somewhere, like when you click on the calendar, when you click on the date, on the right side there, you can actually launch and see an analog clock. Let me see if I can bring it up. There you go. So basically we have these tick marks, these basic tick marks. Okay, now these basic tick marks, we can actually generate them. I'm gonna make it really simple. I'm gonna just make them circles. Okay, so or actually, in fact, I'm gonna utilize GL points in this part. So let's say we have like 12 of them. So basically, I'm not gonna draw 12 of them, but basically we have one here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so basically we have 12 of those guys. Oops, that's a little bit exaggerated. Hang on a second. So one, yeah, in fact, why not? Okay, it doesn't matter. So basically we have 12 of those. Now, if you think about it a little bit, how actually to position those right here, can be done again using GL push and pop matrices, right? Okay, so you're gonna, for example, start, like drawing drawing these points. So for example, you start from the center over here, and then you're gonna say, okay, GL push, remember where you were, and then you're gonna rotate a little bit, a certain amount of degrees, translate, and then draw the point, right? That's what's gonna happen. But how many degrees? That's the good question here. Now, how many? If you look carefully, we have around. Let me grab this one. So we have around 12 points, right? So we have, because we have in our analog watches, we have it's 12 tick marks. We have 24 hours a day, but we have 12 tick marks, which actually represents the which time we have during the day. So basically, if you divide 12 by 360, which is, sorry about that, like so, okay, not perfect. If you divide 12 by 360, you get, hopefully I'm right, you get actually 30 degrees. Okay, so what's gonna happen is we're gonna actually make a small for loop that is gonna just, it's only sole working, it's just there in order to in order to uh, increment every 30 degrees, just draw a small point over here. So let's try to solve this problem first. So I'm gonna go here in my code. I'm gonna actually uh, completely erase all this beautiful code for our previous solar system. And I'm going, in fact, as well to delete this region completely. And in here I'm gonna have let's say, well, yeah, you know what, I don't need it, or yeah, I believe I need it. So hang on a second, I'm gonna create here a region. I'm gonna call this clock, oh, clock uh, parameters. So clock params double, here I'm gonna put this as tick marks equals to 0 for now. Okay, and in here I'm gonna start creating my tick marks. So I'm gonna have a region I'm gonna call this tick marks, and in here I'm gonna just say gl.gl push matrix. So remember where you were, okay, right now. gl.gl pop matrix. So once you are done with everything, return to the original state, okay. And why? This is because I would like to draw my handles from the origin, from the center, okay. It's not because if I lift it like as the sun with Mercury right now, my handles probably I'm gonna have awkward effects. Most probably I'm gonna have them going around with the um, going around with the tick marks. Okay, so let me go back here in my code, and I'm gonna have a small for loop. So for, and I hit the tab twice in order to invoke this code snippet, and for I is less than or equals, let's say equal, I is less than or equal 12 I plus plus. And in here I'm gonna just call the gl.gl begin, gl.gl underscore gl underscore points, and gl.gl end. Okay, in between I'm gonna just say gl.gl rotate, and I'm gonna say tick mark plus equals 30 degrees, because I already agreed with you that I'm incrementing in, hang on a second, in 30 degrees. And by the way, in order to draw the clock, as you can see here, the clock is facing me, so I'm drawing it actually on the XY plane, because the Z is actually pointing away through, I mean pointing, the Z is actually pointing in your face right now. I mean the Z is going out of your monitor, pointing in your face. So what's gonna happen is when I'm trying to rotate, I'm gonna rotate around the Z axis, so I will get the points drawn in front of me on the XY plane. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. First let me get drawing this one, and then I'm going to show the effect of having it rotating around a different axis. So I'm going to draw it around the Z axis, and by the way, keep your rotation outside of your GL begin and GL end. Okay, sorry, this is my bad, I haven't noticed. Always keep your rotation and translation away. And GL.GL translate, and I'm gonna actually put this away by, let's say, 1. So 0, 0. Okay. Let me put the GL begin right there. Okay. Now here I'm gonna call GL.GL vertex 2D. I don't need actually more than 2D. And then I'm just gonna give it simply 0, 0. Just draw it at the origin. It doesn't matter, because anyway it's gonna be translated at that point. Okay. Now let me hit Control F5 and see. Let us see the effect of the application. And as you can see here, I get very awkward kind of point rotation. Hang on a second. Let me have a look at my code over here. Oh, hang on a second, I forgot. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. It has to be inside. Man. Okay, now let's see. Hopefully I'm right. There you go. Yeah, sorry for this inconvenience. I've just completely forgot, or I actually have noticed that the pushing matrices has to be inside the for loop. So here are my points, and they are really tiny. Okay, let me try to have some fun over here. I'm gonna go in my GL settings. I'm gonna have to enable some certain things. Let's say GL enable. I'm gonna call GL underscore points underscore size. I believe there is a, or point underscore size. There you go. And I could call it here right away. So GL enable, or actually GL point size, and then I'm gonna give my points a size. Let's say I'm gonna give it, let's say 1. Yeah, let's say 1, or let it be 2 for now. Let's see how it's gonna look like. Okay, they're a little bit bigger. Let me make them even a little bit more bigger. Let's say gonna be 10. And I believe right now they're gonna be square-ish, right? Okay, and as you can see here, I'm rotating it. Alright? And if I go here, let me show you right now what I was talking about. If I tell it to rotate around the y-axis, right now you're gonna get your clock is on the XZ plane. You see, I have to rotate the clock right now to face me. You see? So that's why it's easier for me, in order just to debug and look at it, I'll just simply rotate around the Z-axis. So whenever I actually draw, I immediately see the clock facing me. Okay? Okay. Now for this one, because I don't like how the points are they look like, so I'm gonna call this GL enable. I believe GL.GL underscore point underscore smooth. So right now they are not gonna be square, they're gonna be a little bit like more like circles. Okay, this is one. Now for the next step, we have actually to put a seconds there. So we need to put the seconds hand. Now if you look carefully, we could actually utilize the timers in C# just to make the code as simple as possible. Okay, we're gonna rotate. We're gonna actually use. We're gonna utilize, in fact, the another timer in C#, and this one is gonna be just only responsible for the clock, nothing more. So I'm gonna go over there. Just give it a second, and in the toolbox, hopefully it will load under the components. I'm gonna have the timer, and I'm gonna call this timer T clock. Oh man, I don't know what's with the colors today. T clock, and for the interval, it's every 1 second, of course, and I'm gonna enable it. Fine. Now, and of course, I'm gonna handle the event for it. So double click, and right now I'm handling the event on ticking. And here, I'm gonna add one more double. Second hand rotation equals to 0, and here we have right now to decide how much actually the second hand is going to rotate. Okay, now if you look at it, our second hand first of all is a line. Okay, so we're going to have to draw a line, so we're going to utilize GL lines. This is the first thing. The second thing, our seconds, usually we have in 1 minute we have 60 seconds. So actually the second hand completes a loop around the watch until 12 in 60 steps, right? So if we divide 360, actually if we divide the 60 by 360, this will give us, okay, let it be from there, this will give us 6, right? So right now we're gonna actually write the code over here. So for now I'm gonna just put the seconds hand, so second hand rotation plus equals 6, and probably it's gonna be a bad idea, but let me show you first how it's gonna look like. Probably gonna have to say minus equals 6, because, well, it depends how it's gonna look like. Region second hand, and in here I'm gonna just say it would be seconds hand, and in here I'm gonna have the, again, a for loop. So for int I equals 0 and I is less than or equals 360, less than or equals 360. So for 360 degrees, I'm gonna call here a gl.gl push matrix, gl.gl pop matrix, and in between I'm gonna call gl.gl hang on a second, first let's have to agree on certain things. First of all, when we start to draw, we draw actually from the origin, right? So the first thing, let me see here. Okay, let me get the OpenGL application. Before we draw anything, we actually started at the origin when the GL load identity was there. Okay, before we start pushing or before we start doing anything here. I mean, even with this one, you can consider it right now at the origin because translate Z and translate X are in fact 0, 0, 0 for now. So imagine them for now that they are just at the origin, right? So when I'm gonna draw, I'm going actually to draw the line from the origin, so from 0, 0, this is gonna be the first point, to X, Y point, okay? Let's say it's gonna be 0.7, 0.7, so 0.7, in fact I'm gonna make it 0.7 for Y and 0 for X, so the line will be just, you know, starting from the 12 o'clock, okay? Now, when we try to rotate the line, we are not gonna rotate it around its axis, I mean it's around its center, it's gonna be, we have to rotate it around that point, right? Because we need to see that second hand rotate somewhere like so. Now what we need to do is that we have actually to translate ourselves here and then start rotating before we do that. If we don't do the translate, if we draw a line like this, okay, let me change its size to something manageable, and if I try to rotate it without translating to the bottom to here, what's happening is the line will be rotating around this point, and as a result you're gonna get something sort of like this when you rotate again, because the line rotated around oh, yeah, let's move it right there. So the line rotated around its center, okay? So in order to fix that, we have actually to rotate, we have actually to translate to the origin or to this place, rotate, and then draw the actual line. Now I'm gonna go here in my code and gl.gl translate, and right now I'm gonna actually translate to the origin 0, 0, 0, gl.gl rotate D for double, and angle is gonna be second hand rotation plus equals 6, or actually no, I shouldn't touch it because I have done the increment here every ticking, so I'm gonna leave it right there, comma, and you're gonna actually rotate around the z-axis again because the clock is facing me, right? So it's gonna be 0, 0, 1, and then gl.gl begin, gl.gl underscore lines, gl.gl end. Oh man, there you go. And here I'm going to specify my first point, so gl vertex 2D is going to be at 0, 0, and gl.gl vertex again 2D is going to be 0 for x, 0.7 for y. And let's hope for the best. Let's see how it's going to look like. So basically, I've got my handle is rotating in anti-clockwise, which is quite happy for many people. They always wish the time goes back again and so on. Okay, so in order to fix this, I am actually going to instead of just incrementing by 6, I'm going to decrement by 6. If you would like to get this right, you can actually like flip the watch, like rotate like how can I say 180 degrees around the y-axis. If you actually rotate 180 degrees right now, you're gonna get this incrementation actually right. So for now I'm gonna just make it minus all the time, okay? So we're gonna just get the clockwise. It's just the problem of the perspective from where you're looking at it. When we were incrementing, imagine that you were looking at the watch from the behind, not from the front. So right now we're watching it from the front right now, okay? So right now my seconds are going correctly, okay? Now, first thing first, let us agree on certain things. First of all, when the seconds complete its rotation, so once the second complete 1 minute, or yeah, one whole rotation 1 minute, the minute's hand, sorry, let me grab the brush. The minute's hand actually rotates by 6 degrees only once. So every rotation of this second hand, for every complete rotation, so for every 360 degrees it rotates, we get our minute's hand goes one step, right? And for every minute hand, once it completes the whole rotation around the clock, so once it completes 360 degrees, our hour hands actually snaps exactly to a certain time, right? So in order to do that, we could actually fix the whole thing in our code right there. So right now our seconds rotation is just simply just goes all the time. Now we're gonna put a small if statement. So if hang on a second, let me try first to put the hours hand rotation and the minutes hand rotation. So we're gonna have double hours hand rotation, which is gonna equals to 0 for now initially, and double minutes hand rotation, T-A-T-I-O-N equals to 0. And in here, so if the second hand rotation equals to 360, actually minus 360 because we are actually decrementing, remember? And in here I'm gonna just say, first of all, set the second rotation to 0. Okay, so reset it. Because at the end you could get actually an overflow of the number, because if you decrement forever, you will never have it, I mean, you'll never decrement forever, you have to decrement by a certain amount of time. Okay, and then the minutes rotation, so minute hand rotation is gonna be minus equals 6, right? Now, and if you're gonna have here if minutes rotation equals 360, in fact again minus 360, okay, then we're gonna set the minutes rotation equals 0, and the hour rotation right now is gonna be a little bit different. Actually, it's gonna be completely different, but for now I'm gonna just keep it away for now, just to see how the minutes rotation is gonna work. And by the way, the minutes rotation or the minutes hand is exactly the same code for this guy. Surprise, right? Because anyway, you're gonna actually yeah, in fact I don't even need the for loop, like so I could get rid of that for loop, probably, at least I think so, because at the end I'm gonna rotate all the time. Just there's no need for a for loop even for this guy. Let me even give it a try here, and I'm actually gonna give the code a try right now without any of those for loops for now. Okay, now because this one is actually rotating even without the for loop, just simply increments all the time. I actually put the for loops here because I was planning to do this check statements, these checkings. I was planning to do them in the middle here, but I decided that right now to do them right away while the clock is ticking in the event handler. So right now I don't even need to think about this one, but you need actually the for loop for the tick marks for sure. Okay, now for the right now we're gonna give it the minute rotation, and in order to make the stuff more interesting, I'm gonna go to my GL settings. You know, usually the hour hands and the minute hands, they usually have different thickness, right? So gl.gl enable gl.gl gl underscore line width, I believe width, I believe it's called. So let's hope, because the IntelliSense is gave up on me. Please say that I'm right. Apparently, oh, hang on a second, GL. Okay. Okay, it works. Now, usually people will call gl.gl line width here, and then they start coding, right? But in fact, instead of doing that, I'm gonna actually do it here. And remember the state machine part. So gl.gl line width, I'm gonna give it to 1. For the minutes, however, I'm gonna give it gl.gl. Actually, this is gonna be the minutes hand. And gl.gl line width is gonna be, let's say, 1.5 for now. Okay? Or yeah, let it be 2. Who cares? And let's hit Control 5. So right now we have a minutes hand that is a little bit thicker than the seconds hand. And in fact, I'm going to put the seconds hand a little bit longer. So I'm going to put it to 1 or 0. Let's say 9 for now. And let the minutes as well as 0.9, because if you look at your watch carefully, probably you're gonna see that it's almost the same, if not 0.85. Let's be Control F5. Okay, so we could actually like wait. I'm gonna show you another trick right now, but I'm gonna wait for a minute, actually exactly a minute, hoping that it will actually work right now. So we wait for it until it just finish rotating around the clock. So basically what we're gonna do is as well handle, right now we're gonna have to add just one more code snippet just to make the hour rotation work after this one is done, if it is done correctly. I'm gonna first show you the trick of making this clock go faster. By the way, there's one more problem we have, is that we should set the clock to the right time, because of course you will not have the of course you will not run the clock immediately starting from 12. You would like to capture the right time from the PC. We're gonna see that in a second, but let's see. There you go, it works. So right now we have got our minute moves. Okay, now let me show you that trick over here. I'm gonna grab the T clock. In the properties, instead of 1 millisecond, instead of 1 second, I'm gonna just make it 1 millisecond. Right now, you're gonna get the clock moves like crazy. So right now we can actually test out our watch quite faster, instead of just waiting every minute for it to complete. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Okay, so off to the hours rotation, and I'm gonna actually grab this Shift Tab that, so move it a little bit back. So hours hand. So the hours hand, usually the hours hand is a little bit shorter, so I'm gonna give it, let's say 0.75, or well, I could give it like 4.455, let's say. And I'm gonna give it a little bit more thickness. I'm gonna give it, let's say 5, or yeah, let it be 5 for now. So it's gonna be awkwardly bigger than all of them. Okay. Translation and rotation, everything is gonna be the same except for the hand. So the hour hand rotation. Now for the hours hand rotation, we're gonna put a certain value, and it's gonna be, in fact, hour hand rotation minus equals 0.5. You ask me why? Well, first of all, when your watch is actually moving, the hands, in fact, when they start moving, okay, right now it's completely gibberish. Let me grab the green here, so it's gonna be a little bit interesting and visible, more than interesting. Actually, when your minutes hand start to move, let's say here, your hour hand is not always fixed at a certain. So let's say it's 4 o'clock right now. If it's 4 and 15, your hour hand in fact starts to move somewhere towards here, right? It doesn't actually moves. It doesn't actually stick to the 5 here, or to the sorry, it doesn't stick. Excuse me, to the 4 here until it reaches 4:30, and then you're gonna get somewhere like your 4 is somewhere here in the middle, you know, and 5 is standing there, and your minute stands here. Once it gets to 5, your hour angle is gonna be, or your hour hand completely snaps correctly to 5, right? And it completely correctly shows the hour to the 12 o'clock here. Now, in order to do that, the difference between this point, let's say from 3 till 4, is 30 degrees, right? And we know that if a minute completes its rotation, which is going to be 60 times, 60 ticks, right? It's going to be 1 hour, right? So if we divide the 30 by 60, we're going to get 0.5, right? Hang on a second, let me grab the calculator. 30 divided by 60. Okay, 30 divided by 60. Hang on. 0.5. Okay, so that's why I'm gonna put it. So that's why we need actually to put it to minus 0.5. So minus 0.5 in terms of decrementation. So I'm gonna hit Control F5, and as you can see here, I hope that my hours hand is moving. Somehow I cannot see that it is actually not moving at all for a certain reason. Did I? Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. I said it's if it completes 1 hour, so probably I have to put it right there. Right here. And let's hit Control F5. And yep, right now the hour angle is moving. Yeah, because it's a mistake in the if statement. I should have actually incremented the hour once the minute hand incrementation happens. So right now, in exactly, yeah, like 60 seconds or so, right now we're gonna see that the hour hand will actually show exactly at the same position as the as 1 o'clock right now. So right now it's somewhere in the midways. Okay, right now it's gonna move the seconds over here. By the way, if you wanted to have a stopwatch, this is actually a beautiful stopwatch right now, by the way. And give it a little bit time, and it will immediately snap correctly at that moment. It will snap correctly to 1, completely exactly to 1 right now. Right now it's going to deviate more to the second minute or the second hour. Okay, what is left for us? Oh, by the way, if hour hand rotation equals 360, hours hand rotation angle is gonna equals to 0. 0. Okay, so do not forget to reset that one as well. Alright, now what we need to do right now is to get the date, actually the time, our time right now of our computer, to project it in our OpenGL application. One way to do this is just simply grab, once the application starts, I'm gonna grab these 3. By the way, I'm holding Alt and left mouse button click. So hold Alt and left mouse drag. I'm grabbing a marquee selection, and when I paste them, you see it just goes here. So equals to, and equals to. Now for the, and let me move this guy a little bit down. So we're gonna put this at the end. For the second hand rotation, I'm gonna say date time dot, this is actually built in C#, okay, date time, this is a class, or structure, dot now, and dot seconds, so second. Okay, and here date time dot now dot minute. Okay, and in fact it's minute times actually times 6, because we have to get exactly, we have to put the and this one as well times 6, because we have right now to put the seconds hand on its position, right? Because it's when it's 59 seconds, we have to put it at a certain degree. So if you put in order to make it easier, 59 seconds times 6 is going to be 354. So this is going to be 354 degrees. This is the rotation angle of the hour hand, of the seconds hand, and of the minutes hand. Now, of the hour hand is going to be a little bit different. So as far as I believe, it has to be, hang on a second. Here, well, let's first for a second here, let's think about how this hour hand rotation is going to happen. First of all, we have to find the actually the hour itself. And since it's not all the time the hour, like for example, if it is 5:30 or let's say 5:45, for example, you're gonna run actually into a problem where your clock is actually not synchronized. Because if I find the clock using that method, let's say if I find the time using datetime dot now dot hour times 30. Okay, and by the way, there's one mistake here. Actually, it should be minus 6, because if you remember, we were all time in the code, we were always decrementing, right? So minus, 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 and we have to synchronize everything accordingly. So that's why this minus is going to happen to be here. So everything going to be running accordingly. Now I'm going to go run into my date time, and I'm going to actually change my date. Let's say 8. I'm going to put it right now 8:30. I'm going to hit OK, OK, and I've actually changed it off the screen. So as you can see here, actually it snapped right for some certain reason. Actually it shouldn't. Hang on a second. Control S. Let me try to rebuild solution. Actually, let's clean the solution. Rebuild solution, and let's hope it will work accordingly right now. Alright, so there you go. You see? It's 8:30, but it shouldn't be at 8. It should be somewhere here at the middle, right? Because I mean, if you look at your clocks, let me try to grab this. So as you can see here, I've changed my clock. You see 8:30, and it should be somewhere here. Right now it's gonna run into 9 o'clock while this hour handle is not there. So basically what we have to do, let me just try to change it back to 8:30 again, just for the time being. Okay, and for now, right now we found actually the hour angle. What we need to do is we need just to push it, okay, just to offset that handle, that hour hand, by the amount of minutes that we already have passed out, multiplied by 0.5 degrees. So here I'm gonna put the minus, not plus, but minus, since if you remember, again, we are decrementing. And I'm gonna write here date time dot now dot minutes times 0.5. Now let me put back again. Yeah, okay, it's 8:31 in my clock here, so control F5 that, and as you can see here, it snapped correctly. You see? So right now, once it reaches to 9, this hour hand is going to actually point exactly to 9. And you can even recognize it by the jagged lines here. Do you see these jagged lines? They're going to be completely straight line once it reaches 9 exactly. So give it a second, and There you go, completely straight. Now it just simply changes right now. So for example, let me put my clock here to something else. Let it be something like 5:45. Let's hope it will work. Control 5. And as you can see here, 5:45, just the hour rushes to 6 right now. It's gonna be exactly a straight line once it gets to this part. So there you go, completely straight line. Okay, so basically we have created a clock right now, an analog clock that actually follows uh, our our time, but of course we are in some sort of a time machine. So if shift F7, the clock 4, put this to 1000, so it will be, everything will be normal, and control F5 again, and apparently I have to rebuild my solution again. So right click, rebuild solution. For some certain reason I believe that Visual Studio started to joke with me here a bit, and as you can see here, right now my clock is following. Actually it's right now 5:47 since I was playing with my watch, or my actual clock here at the PC. So right now basically we have created a clock in OpenGL that follows the time of our PC correctly, and actually calculates the hour handles, minute handles, and so on accurately. By the way, there are a lot of source codes over the internet if you go and search for it. I mean, this one is very, very highly optimized, because if you see here, I haven't used a single cosine or sine in here. Most of people use cosines and sines in order just to get the hour angle and these stuff right. I mean, yes, you can use that in order to get some sort of like these nice smooth hour transitions, but of course you can, if you play with these numbers a bit, do a little bit of math, and you can even make it as well smooth using the same analogy here. Okay, I hope to see your your own analog clocks. Try right now, for example, replace the dots, for example, with dash lines. Put here additional dash lines, for example. Here you go, a small task for you just to play with. Again, this one is going to be heavily relied on pushing and popping matrices right now. If you're gonna, for example, put these dash lines in between these circles, okay, this is gonna be really helping you a lot to master this part, to master this pushing and popping matrices. Also, as a practice, yeah, just completely, you can simply just draw a circle around this, so you can define the, for example, the area of the clock, where's the diameter of the clock. So it's right now up to you. You can of course color each handle alone using GL color, and you can even have fun with it. You could, for example, color a single vertex and let it do as a gradient, going to white or opposite. So right now the sky is the limit. You can just simply have fun with it. Right now you can actually separate this clock class and put it in a different class. This clock code, and you put it in a different class where you just simply create a new object of the clock and then render it in OpenGL window. Okay, so I hope that you had fun as I did, and if you have any questions, and it will be great actually if you show, for example, out in the forums what your actually your own version of this. It will be great to see over the forum. Anyway, thanks all for your attention, and see you in the next lesson.